Welcome back, Shimboners. On today's podcast, we'll be reviewing yesterday's loss to the Gold Coast down at what was a very hot Barossa Valley for me sitting there. And to help me break it down and provide some answers, we've got Fredo joining us. Frog, welcome. How are we?
Yeah, g'day Baz, g'day listeners. I'd love to come on for a win, but it's not today, is it?
No. Oh, we should have known that as soon as we had you lined up to come on that we unfortunately you yet to have a winning pod, so we should have known the result there and then.
Yeah, for sure. Bit disappointing, but anyway, we'll get into that, I suppose. But just before we get into the match breakdown, I know you got the rundown there, but what's your thoughts of the whole gather round, setup since you've been every year? Where do you rate it, the whole experience?
Yeah, they do it well. It's bloody good, sort of a town takeover, and because it's the CBD is pretty small, like you're just running into AFL personalities everywhere. Like the other night, who did we see? Nick Nat and Rory Sloane and Hutchie. He was running around, probably running the town.
Oh yeah,
No, they do it
Archie, yeah.
well. They do it well, and then getting out to the Barossa was nice yesterday. As although it would have bit of shade would have been nice, but it was very hot out there, and had some good
It
company
was
as well.
32, wasn't it?
Yeah, had some good company. Had Finn O'Sullivan and Tommy Powell's mums in front of us. So shout out to those ladies. They were very lovely. So yeah, it was a good day at the Barossa. Unfortunately, the football just didn't quite match it for 4 quarters, as we've unfortunately become accustomed to.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, they're fans of the pod, those two players' mums, aren't they? So I was
Yeah,
saying.
they were. So
Good to
that
see.
great to have them on board. We'll start with our biggest takeaway. So I'll go first. Mine is that we're just unable to play 4 quarters, and there was too many broken tackles yesterday. But I'm sick of the excuses like Clarko in the presser again yesterday. How good Gold Coast are. We want to go deeper into the game. And then the comment that triggered me the most was against Carlton next week for Good Friday. We want to be able to take it deeper in the game. Well, Clarko, we want to be able to win. And I've had a look
Yeah.
at our next 3 weeks. We've got Carlton, Port Adelaide, and Essendon, three sides who aren't flying. And I think really we probably need to be in all three contests, and I'd like to see us win two, if not one. And if we go 0-3 through that period, then there's big question marks on how much progress we are going to make in 2025 for mine. What's your biggest takeaway?
Yeah, well, firstly, I agree with 100% with what you said there. We need to get through the 4 quarters, not two and a bit. But I feel like the defensive unit is destroying us. It's just not working. Haven't got. Clarko did mention that there's not much cohesion for some of the players, but I feel like the tools every week they give away a couple of pretty average silly frees early. You think what the early one to core. I think you think, oh, was it there? You see the replays. Clearly, just pulled his arm down. You can't get away with that sort of thing. And our small defenders, I guess they're the distributors, but they can't defend.
No.
That's like Fisher, Daniel. I know they're there for the ball use, but they're getting exposed badly in the other defensive side of the game for mine. So, and even your mediums, if you go Elmack as a medium and Bergman not in the team, Elmack's have been okay, but still has the brain farts and stuff like that. So Bergman's probably not going to make it. Tucker's, he's a fringy sort of player. So there's lot of work to be done in defence, I think. And part of that's the mids coming down,
It
obviously
is.
to help it. But
We're
I
still,
mean, out of the centre clearance, if it's Rail hitting it in at 6 on 6, so it's up to them they're too loose too. I think still early in games. I thought, why are they 20 metres behind? We've talked about that before. That's a pretty long takeaway, I suppose. But it's just yeah.
no, it's a good point. And
Archer's probably the outlier because he's not playing, but he's the defender that can definitely a quality defender, and he's pretty useful with the ball, I think too. So
oh,
we
he's
miss him.
definitely he's improved that
Yeah,
aspect of his game.
yeah,
But as soon as
yeah,
the ball hit
definitely.
the ground yesterday, like Gold Coast were just much cleaner, and our
Yeah,
small and defensive small and defensive defenders, if I can get there. I'm rattled. The heat's rocking me, heat wave. They're just not effective enough, and they're too slow to get to the ball, and then it's handball, and an easy inside 50 for the Sun.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
really,
Agree. Yeah,
really frustrating. But I suppose we'll get into our match review. So we'll start with team news. We saw the side named on Thursday night with Zane Dersma coming in, which was a bit of a surprise for a lot of supporters, but I thought he played well. Um, Finn Sullivan back in, which was great, and then Zach Fisher, bit of one left field as well, coming in, and then making way. Bailey Scott uh, omitted for probably the first time in his career, I
Yeah,
reckon.
probably. Yeah, it would have been a while, I reckon,
Yeah, and then Whitlock making
been out.
way, and Robbie Hanson Jr. as well. What were your thoughts on the ins?
I thought they were pretty spot on. I mean, Fisher, I sort of had a feeling he might get him, but I wasn't certain. But the other two definitely had to come in. I think because I thought Hanson was obviously going to go out, and I thought Dersman's a good, not the same sort of player, but similar that half forward push up. And I think Dersman showed enough smarts. I thought a couple of times to get in a good spot 40 out, and he was on his own. One of them he clearly outworked his opponent. The other just lost him, and he just he's a good kick. He's got good skills. He might be the sort of player you might only get 6 or 7 possessions, but if he can snag a couple of goals, that's a plus for me. Yeah, he's obviously got the other side of his game, like a lot of our younger players when they don't do the defensive or they lose a bit of concentration to work on, obviously.
Yeah.
Who else came in? Oh, Finn had to come in. That was a no-brainer. It seems like he's played 50 games, not five,
Oh,
nearly or four.
he's so good.
Very
He's so
calm.
good.
Yeah,
Just on Zane, um, had donuts in the first quarter and just took that quarter to sort of adjust back to AFL. I thought
yeah,
he was really impressive. Played along the wing as well, right in front of us. So his work rate was pretty good from what I could see, and he's just dangerous. It sort of compare him a little bit to what Mason Wood could do for St Kilda on a wing
yes,
with
yeah.
pushing forward, and he's good user, smart footballer, and yeah, he's definitely kept his spot for mine.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, the skills are there, and Mason Wood. Well, that's another story. But I felt back when he played, he should have played wing a lot more. He was always either third forward, but I don't think that was his go.
No,
Anyway,
it
that's
wasn't.
another story. But
And Fisher was interesting because I thought when he came in, they might play him on that sort of half forward wing role, but he was in
yeah,
with Daniel as well, which is just I don't think you can play both of them in the same back line.
nah, it looks. I thought it might be half forward as well, or maybe a bit of wing. Whether he's got the tank to do wing, I don't know. But yeah, it would look bad at times with those down there. Their ball use, particularly Daniel. Daniel, I thought his ball use was a lot better. Obviously, didn't do many of the kickouts, but I think his handballs all hit target, and he did get some clearances, as in around the ground clearances. I think he got six, but obviously other parts of the clearance he got exposed with his opponent, blowing past him. So having them both there is tough, but I don't know really what the answer is to that. But
Yeah,
I guess there's probably some Q&As about that, so we've got half an hour to think about it.
yeah. I'll tell you what, there is a lot of questions, and a lot of them around certain players as well, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for sending them in, but let's get stuck into the match notes. So I did take a few, probably more so in the first half, until it got a bit hot and the brain started to get a bit fuzzy. But so the first
And
quarter,
just for the listeners, you were on the far side of the
yes,
ground
well,
in the
opposite the
blue
interchange.
stands. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was 32
Had the
degrees.
sunnies on.
Yeah, I did this year.
Sunnies.
Chief got into me last year about not having it, and he'd be flat that he's not on today. So
Chief would be spewing if you hadn't had them on.
yeah, exactly. But it was very hot out there, 32 degrees, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later on. But it was interesting. The Herald Sun reported about 90 minutes before the game that Tristan Sherry was going to be laid out and that he'd hurt his hamstring the night before, which thankfully he got up. But I suppose I'll go forward a little bit while we're talking about Big X. Did he go off late? Because they seem to have Griffin Logue in the ruck. And didn't
I
really
think
see
he
much of
did, but
X in the last 20 minutes.
I don't know that the boundary riders actually many of them do their job because you don't really get a lot of info about someone's coming off unless their surname is Dacos. But it's just you just don't miss it. You don't always see it on the camera. So, but then I think I looked at his match time. I think he's 80 odd percent. I think X like last year would have been closer to 90 because he's obviously carrying a bit of something. I mean, he's not himself. He's still effective, but probably lost the battle yesterday. To be fair, the umps crucified him a couple of times with I don't know. I don't think even what's the other guy Wits. I don't think even he knew the free was for, and they just both. And then anyway, that'll be in the match notes, I suppose. But yeah, I
Yeah,
thought Logue was actually okay because he's got a bit of a leap, the big fella.
he does. He
Somehow
does.
get the big 110 Ks off the ground somehow. With Darling hasn't got a leap at all, but
Yeah. Um,
Game was cooked by then, so
yeah, so just touching on that first quarter, we kicked 3 goals, 7, very wasteful in front of goal. The Suns kicked 6 goals, 1, but we almost had the perfect start. LDU,
oh yeah.
well, I suppose we better speak about LDU. We haven't, because I haven't really spoken about it. No, I did an Instagram live about it yesterday, but how good with him re-signing
Oh, it was
years at
great news.
1.3.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And for any of the doubters that thought that was overs, I mean, he showed yesterday why he's worth that contract. So elusive at contest and then bursting
Yeah,
away from the stoppage. If only had his
that
skill
first
on.
quarter was crazy. Like even in the second quarter as well. He's good pretty much most of the game. Probably dropped off in the last, but he was. Geez, they all did then. But yeah, he's just doing it on his own.
He had 11
Almost in the first
disposals.
quarter. It was crazy. I didn't realize he kicked 3 points in the first quarter. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember the long one, but yeah, didn't realize that till later.
But I thought Jai Simpkins set the tone pretty well early, kicked our first goal of the day as well, and throwing himself around at the contest as we come to expect from him. Um,
Yeah.
Aiden Core had a shocking turnover. I just
Oh
you
yeah.
can just lock that in. Some of his short kicking, he's nearly on the chomp, just 50 meters down the line, or a handball received to a better user, and that's the problem I suppose with our back line. Like we're so reliant on either Fisher or Daniel because a lot of our defenders aren't even average kicks. Like
Nah, no, it's poor.
Elmac, as much as we love Elmac, he's a bomb down the line. Tucker, he's just safe. He's not offering much. Daniel hasn't been at his best this year. I thought Fisher, when we were on top yesterday, did some nice things, but again, we've mentioned off the top that we don't think we can play him and Caleb Daniel in the same
No,
spot. So I really
no,
want to
Daniel.
see Riley Hardiman get a 4 quarter game.
Yeah, I think he'll get one next week. But I mean, we're just hoping he can be that one. I mean, he might not turn out so good either, but he definitely deserves a few good games. I mean, a run of games, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
to
we'll
find out
touch
what
on
he
him.
can. His ball looks okay, but he hasn't had enough of a block to get a good assessment of his defensive. I don't think
Hmm.
he'll be above the other two, though. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll touch on him.
Sorry if I keep looking to the side, viewers, but I'm looking at my notes.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Um,
Got a bit of the robos going on.
Yeah, we had an end-to-end goal, which I haven't seen in a long time, with from a kick out, and it all started with some great hands from Jacob Constanti, just
Yes, yes, I've got that
inboard.
highlight. Yeah,
And when we did get that run and carry game going with the handball, we looked really dangerous in that first half, and that kicked
yeah,
it off. But we just had too many wasted opportunities. We dominated contests, we dominated clearance, we dominated time and possession, we dominated inside 50s, and we kicked 3-7, we kicked 7-3 and it's a different
yes,
game. But then the biggest problem with that is we had all the territory, and then as soon as Gold Coast got it out of our forward 50, it was witches hats. It was this is
yeah, it was.
one way
Yeah,
to say it.
yeah, I've got some early there. Like I think Larky was a couple of times behind his player, which we see a lot of, which is unfortunate. And obviously, he wants it out the back with a win, but it's not always that simple. We say that every week, I suppose. And he, missed opportunity, he dribbled that point, and I think he almost celebrated it before it went over the line, but it didn't go in. And yeah, Aiden called it. I think he gave a dumb free. Then that kick you're talking about was the very next play, I think.
Yeah.
After that, he missed a target and thinking we need someone that's played 150 odd games. You've got to be cleaner. And we know every time Chom gets it, you're thinking, where's this kick going? You hold your breath every time I think he was okay yesterday, but he's kicking. You just heart when you say heart in your mouth, whatever. Yeah.
It's going to be a
And I
discussion
think
for a bit later on
during
about
that quarter, I
Band
think we
players.
were a bit behind, but we had the clearances 9-2, which is fantastic. But we were behind. We were behind 25 to 16 on the scoreboard. That was sort of disappointing. I think Clarko might have pointed that out as well. We all saw it, but if we can, you just mentioned like if we can get 3 or 4 goals up and reward for our dominance, I suppose. We just haven't quite got that going yet. I don't think
No, it's
it's
that
sort of disappointing. Yeah,
last kick in
yeah.
50 is just crucifying us. But have you got anything else
And
in the
our
first
forward
quarter?
the first quarter, no, Elmac did a really good smother where he gets bagged a lot on the boundary line. That saved probably another potential goal, since they were scoring nearly every time they went in. And there was one with Ben King, I think, who was on him. He was just running. I think Chom might have been Chom or Cole, not sure, to affect the contest. But if you don't get that ball out of bounds, he's standing in the goal square. I don't know if it was that one, but he was definitely on his own. You got to know when to go, and if you go, you got to kill the ball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That was Chom. That was in front of us, and he just a poor judgment call from him, and it
Yeah,
ends up being a gimme goal.
you're better off to stay with your man if you're not sure. Just take the safe option of staying with him. At least you don't get the Joe the Goose. I mean, he had the pissiest 5 goal game ever. Really, King. He just they're all gifts, really, nearly. And obviously you've got to kick the goals, but yeah,
Yeah, he wasn't that good on the day. He got a lot of
no,
Jackie Freeze as well. That
yeah, and little arm pulls and that. You don't give him. I think he beat both the Kings last year, so that's pretty bad for him. He owned them both last year from memory.
yeah. Then we take a look at the second quarter. We saw a response which was good. We kicked 4 goals too. They kicked 3 goals four, but simple mistakes killed us early. Just drop marks, and you can't do that when
Yeah,
you got to capitalize when you've got momentum. But we started to lower our eyes a lot as well, and that seemed to be a clear directive, whether it was because we were kicking into the breeze or not. But a lot
yeah,
more
they're
measured going
definitely.
inside 50. We had one play where it was Colby to Stevens to Sheasel to Parker, and ended up with a Larky goal, and it was just a lot more
Yeah, that was a
ball use
yeah.
as well.
I've got that down here as a great team goal. That was really good, and they're definitely loving their eyes a lot more and using the way we like to see them play. That was because I think they might have kicked the first goal and it was 50 to 25, and I said we're going to be down by 50 at halftime. It's just had that feel, but for them, I will give them the credit to turn it around that quarter and play some really good footy and get to very close at halftime. And yeah, shout out to PC. He was both the first and second. He was on fire. Like I would, he's almost unstoppable if you can just get some better ball to him. I think he does the odd, over exuberant, knock someone over, and that I don't feel as much in that. But
Oh, soft.
like the forward line's looking really good if they can just, like we've said it before, about the big guys can attack the ball carrier a bit more because you've got Luke Parker there. He'll hit your lace out and play plays like that, shoes all that.
Exactly.
Stop running their arm back, going back to the goals.
Oh, and that's another point I want to make from later on in the game. We had some players bursting out of stoppage and 3 forwards are running back. Like someone's got to hit up because it creates the space out the back, even
Yep.
if you don't hit the first option. But I thought Zach Fisher had a really good quarter in that second quarter. Was one that was a bit unsure about his inclusion, but he was really classy with the ball. And
Yeah, he hit up Dersma with a nice pass. Like I know it was easy, but Dersma found the space and he hit him, and that's what we've seen a few other senior players do that, and it goes along the ground or over their head. So if someone's in the space, you got to hit him. It's easy. It's basic footy, isn't it? Really?
having the vision to do so. Like too many of our senior players will just get it and kick it as far as they can, kick it 50 and
Yeah.
Talaki 1-on-3. So
Well, yeah. Didn't we point out last week? I think Elmac did it again yesterday. Or Bash Elmac, but like he did it last week and kicked it to a 16 on 12,
yeah,
wasn't it, from the middle?
yeah,
And Sheasel was outside 50 on his own. So a good player spots Sheasel, he probably kicks a goal or hits up someone else. The
mm,
dump kick is the 90s stuff.
yeah. I want to give a big shout out as well to Finn O'Sullivan. Like he's so composed. I've created a new word, untackleable. That's how we're describing.
Yeah, untackleable.
And he's just so good. Spins out of one. He looks like he's played 200 games. Time stops for him. Nothing flusters him. I was really impressed with his game again, and for a four gamer, his resilience and he doesn't waste it by foot as well. And a couple of times yesterday, he went back with a forward as well. He's tough. I'm still bemused at what the free kick was for when he went back with the flight, and then suddenly it's a Gold Coast free.
Oh, I don't know. That was
That was on the
nice
opposite
tax.
wing to me, so I don't know. But we'll get to the umpiring. Oh my God, in that third quarter, it was horrific.
We also saw a great intercept, I think, off a spillage from Sheasel and got his first goal of the year. Like he's been a bit unlucky with a couple of posters, but I think that would have, he's obviously a confident player, but I think that would have helped him along a bit. The boys got around him, and then we also had the Bull had that good run down the wing on the flank. I think
Yes.
two bounces and hit up. You think where's he going to go? PC was probably doing the right thing, running away to the open side, and PC hit him lace out. Really, that was a brilliant bit of play. That was.
It was,
And
and
PC, as he has been this year, finishing his shots at goal really well. I think he's what 12-4 or something, maybe
he's been really good, and that was a bit of a knock on him at times, especially when he was trying to kick round the
around
corner,
the corner.
15 in. Um, Yeah, that was a great play, and Mac Andrew got lost on PC a lot. He
Yes.
found space to be dangerous PC a lot yesterday as well, and Mac really struggled on him at times. But we saw a great response, and I was much like you when they got to that 25 point margin. They've got the breeze, which wasn't a huge breeze. I was speaking to the big chief yesterday, and he was saying on the call they were saying it was a 3 or 4 goal breeze. I'm not sure about that, unless it was a lot worse on the ground than what it was in the stands. But
Yeah, I think even on the coverage, one of the boundary riders must have decided to get out of the bar or whatever. They said that it dropped off and gone a bit more sideways.
yeah, it was sort
Thinks
of
it wasn't
it
as
was
wasn't as effective. Yeah.
it was pushing towards the right forward pocket more than
Yeah,
the
yeah.
of the end. So
Definitely dropped it, but I think they a bit like us misused it. I think they had a couple of early chances, the Suns, and some bad shots, I think, as well. Like Larky had a couple of shockers in the first, I think, didn't he? Or one. But that was always a difficult, but he sliced it and got it out in the full, didn't he?
kicked out the full, yeah, unlike him.
Yeah, yeah. That's the bad. I thought he's going to put this out at the left goalpost and going to swing in. Brian,
Yeah.
he
Uh,
just shanked it.
we'll go to the third quarter now. And again, we started. Oh, sorry, we kicked four straight. They kicked 5-5. But to start the quarter again, there was great vision, no dump kicks. Constanti created a great goal out of a stoppage with a good finish. I thought he was serviceable again yesterday. I thought Griffin Logue was pretty good in that quarter, taking some intercept
Yeah,
marks. But then when Gold Coast started to get on top in the clearance and contest, it was curtains after that, and the three red time goals absolutely took the wind out of our sails to finish. And
yeah, I think so.
one of my favourite Shimboners, our fellow Lons Estonian, Colby McKercher, he had one of the dirtiest days I've seen for him, and definitely
Yeah,
some
other than
players
being
that he'll want to get back. And I reckon we've got 25 questions about him to come up in the listener Q&A.
yeah,
So
I think other than he was in that really good one of the good chains they had, and maybe in the second, and you could see what he can do there, but he was invisible a bit. But I think the first half of that third, that's when we hit the lead twice.
hmm,
We had that that's when Luke Parker was good in the stoppage and shot it out to JK, we'll call him. Did that lovely snap when you think we thought we didn't know if he had that sort of goal in him really. It's more you think he's there for his um his
Kano.
pressure and grunt. But yeah, bit of Kano. But those two have, and Darling have really changed the forward line with their, I guess their, even though JK's only young, like their work rate, all of them. So that's made a lot of difference, I think.
Yeah, I think
I
our
think
forward
else,
line's been really dangerous. Like Jack Darling
yeah,
had his best game for the year for mine yesterday. I was really impressed with him. He was good in
yeah,
the ruck,
really good work rate. Yeah.
and his follow-up work in the ruck was really good too, getting a few touches and tackles. And
He got a couple of frees himself, didn't he? For
yeah,
a change. Might have given away one, but he got a couple himself, um, which is a change.
it
He
was
got a couple of
ridiculous the amount of
clearances from free
whistles.
kicks. Yeah. There was yeah, that I had the Luke Parker to JK. There was LDU did a really good one to Larky, I think, for the goal. And I think we were 75 to 68 up. So we're up by 7 points. Thinking, oh, we're on here. But then, like you said, that last 5 minutes, it all just fell to pieces.
Yeah,
They kicked five of the last six goals. And I think there was a bad, oh, I thought it was bad as a caught a block on PC. And I feel like he was running just away from the ball. And they just two players bumped into each other. That was on our half forward line. Ball
yeah,
went to them, and I think they got a goal after that. And you're thinking, well, they got five of the last six. I just wrote game over. And I know but I mean, it was proved to be right. You hope they can come out in the fourth and respond, but they didn't. We didn't, unfortunately.
yeah. We just ran out of
So
legs
yeah,
and the heat, but it just
I
goes
think
back
I
to
heard McKercher went off because of heat stroke. I don't know if that's right or not, but I didn't see him go off or when he did. He had a shocker anyway, and that's not an out. I'm just saying that might be why he was subbed.
I did read that
Might have
as
been,
well, but
yeah,
on the
yeah.
AFL side, it had sub injured.
Said injured,
Yeah,
yeah. So
so we'll have to wait and
so
see
no,
about that.
that doesn't probably excuse the first half of the game. You might have got the effects to him in the second half. I don't know. But I thought Zaha was invisible a lot, but he actually did some good things, but he didn't seem to accumulate at all, even though it's hard for six forwards to go well, but yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have much of an influence on the game except
No.
last quarter where he was fighting everyone. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, there's a couple of dumb things he did there. You don't want that from those, anybody really, but especially leader by Dames played, but not by action. Sometimes the big bull, is he?
Mm. But even though they got on a run, where we're going to progress as a side, we just have to be able to swing the momentum, and we didn't. They kicked 7 goals, five. We kicked 2-2. Our run was gone, and the momentum was gone. We just got blown out again, and it's not good enough. And supporters,
Uh,
fans are so frustrated with performances like this. And from where we
yeah,
were
the last quarter. Yeah.
in
Oh,
the halfway through
sorry,
the
you go.
third, from where we were halfway through the third, it just blew up and. We've got to be past performances like this. I don't know what your thoughts about it are, but it's not good enough.
No, you wouldn't have wanted to do the pod at 3 o'clock or whatever the game finished, but the last quarter was quite frustrating. I didn't really write any notes because you're sort of over it by then, but I did. The first thing I wrote was first goal to Suns, FFS. We know what that means, but then Hardiman did win a nice one-on-one. He kicked it to Darling. Then I think then the moment probably will get maybe some people remember Simpkin had the ball at what 70 out, kick smothered, absolutely shocking. Then the goal the other way.
Yeah,
Then that was it. Then definitely no. They swung Chom forward and stuff, but at least they tried something. But it's then they just blew it out of the park, which is disappointing. I mean, you
yeah,
don't want to lose, but if it had stayed, like we can't, the kicking teams kicking 17, 18, 21 goals, there's got to end. At least we are scoring. Like I think, I don't know, that's my personal view. I'd rather lose 80 to 120 than 40 to 80,
yeah,
I suppose.
yeah,
40 point, I know that was more than 40, but I hate it when we only score 5 goals, 5 goals, eight or something.
yeah.
Or we kept the other team to 10,
Lucky to
at
get
least
more.
we're scoring. Yeah. So that was, seven, what you said, 7-5 to 2-2. That's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
And a
really
lot of the,
frustrating.
noticed
And
a
just
lot of the crowd on the wing were vacating
yeah,
probably to get to the next game or to the bar. I don't know, but that you could notice that on telly. There's that sand was stands on the wing were quite empty.
yeah. Well,
I guess
we
you toughed
obviously
it out, did you?
we are. I've never left the game early, never will. But
Yeah,
I do
good
actually
work.
understand a couple of people because it was really it was
Oh, it
uncomfortable.
was
The weather was uncomfortable
would
and there was
be.
no
Yeah.
shade, so I get that. Just on that Simkin one, like. When you're the leader of the footy club, you've played 130 games. That's just
Oh, yeah.
to be around that. You've just got to be better. You've got to push back off the mark. Where's the intent? Where's the intensity? And that just
And
absolutely kills your momentum and it
we've seen
demoralizes
that with
the
him.
group. There's
Seen
too
that with him
many.
before with shanking kicks when we're on a roll, along the ground. Like everyone makes mistakes, but you want him not to do that so often, or dribbles it's disappointing, really.
Yeah, there's too
That
many.
maybe we're still a chance in, maybe we'd run out of legs. I don't know, but it has to knock the spirit out of the other players a bit because it certainly does for the people watching, doesn't it?
It does. There's just too many
Yeah,
mistakes from our senior players.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just got to.
Well, that's about all I've got for the last quarter, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Disappointing. Don't
Yes.
want to harp on it so long, but so what do we go to next? I'll do a Robbo here. What's on the rundown?
Yeah. We'll go.
Up,
Well,
up, up. Where's my glasses?
we'll bring it up a little bit, I suppose. We'll go to the most prestigious award in all of the AFL, the Ryan Basanack Player of the Year. I'll let you go first with your votes if you've got them up.
Yeah, I have this. For me, this was a bit of a tough one. After this guy gets five, can you see him?
Yep, yep, there he is.
I'm glad he signed, because otherwise I have to throw that away. But 5 votes to me. He was really good. Um, Parker, I gave four. Found it hard, the 4-1, but I thought Luke Parker he played mid and as a forward, so he's not always in the midfield, but I think he just adds class and toughness as that in that role. It's exactly what we wanted, and he's still probably a bit sore, but I think he's been getting better every week. So, and then that gets really hard now. I've gone, probably people won't like this, but I've gone Dill Stevens. Yeah, he's had 21. He ran hard on his wing. Like he's not perfect, but he's better than what probably the wings have given us this year, I think.
Yep,
Two, I've given PC. He's probably in my opinion, at the moment, he's the best forward at the club. Rarely loses a contest. Can't say that for the other forwards. And he's finishing in front of goal. Like for that, a smallish medium forward to be 12, whatever we said, 12-4 in a game team that's won one game. He's not just getting cherry pick goals in the goal square either. So, and one for Jack Darling. I thought he played that role perfectly. Like he did it, had a couple of times. So he's got the big bloody octopus on him. He did a bit of larking trying to take a chest mark. Mate, get the jukes out. If he
Yeah.
touches your arm, it's a free kick. So that was the only thing that he did. A couple of things like that wrong, I thought. But other than that, yeah. And I don't know how long can I go. The unlucky, I'd say Sheasel. I was ummed and ahed about him. Even Daniel and Fisher, I thought were good, but then they were bad. They were good with the ball, which is, that isn't an improvement, but they obviously hurt us the other way. And Charlie Comben, I thought was good, and Foss Simpkin as well, but he had obviously a couple of bad moments, but he did work pretty hard.
I like
Yeah,
it.
they didn't quite make the cut, but they were in thereabouts.
I'll get into mine. So, same as you, I've given five to LDU. He had the 26 disposals, seven marks, four tackles, eight clearances, and eight inside 50s. He was at his damaging best. Unfortunately, 0-3 on the scoreboard, which was about the only thing he did wrong all day, and a bit quiet in the
Yeah,
last quarter, yes. But like you mentioned earlier in the pod, nobody played four quarters yesterday. The four votes I've given to JD, Jack Darling. I thought he was really good, both as a key forward and as a ruck. 16 disposals, five marks, four tackles, kicked the two goals. Really happy with his game. The three votes I gave to Harry Sheasel. Another Harry game where he was good when we were up. He was pretty good all game, to be honest, but he had the
yeah,
27 disposals, four marks. He kicked his first goal of the year, which was great to see. And he's just damaging with ball in hand. The two votes I also, similar to you, gave to Paul Curtis. Thought he was really impressive again yesterday. Two goals, two, four tackles, 14 disposals, and there's a bit of a PC tax where whenever he touches someone, it's a free kick. So I love his aggression. I love the way he goes about it. And the one vote, this could have been a number of players. I mean, we didn't have any real standouts, but just for his poise and composure, I've given the one vote to Finn O'Sullivan. I was really impressed
yeah,
with his game again yesterday, coming in off a really bad illness. I saw during the week um, that it was being said that Matt Whitlock had to speak to him through the bedroom window because they are obviously flatmates, and
yeah.
he was
Jeez.
that sick. So he's come back and not put a foot wrong, and one of our shining lights so far throughout the year.
Yeah,
He's
he's very
equipped
clean,
himself.
isn't he? Clean
Yeah,
with the ball and good decision maker.
he is. So there was
Yeah, I'd probably.
like you, Dill Stevens was probably my next in. I thought he
Yeah,
was pretty solid again. Doesn't do a lot wrong by foot, and run really good patterns. Got involved.
yeah, yeah. I
So
tried to keep a reasonable close eye on him as much as I could. I don't think he shirked much. I don't think so. It's
no,
it's hard though when you're not there. I'd love to see some more behind the goal footage and stuff of
and
all of how the whole team actually sometimes. But anyway,
our wings have been let us down so far this year, as you
yeah,
mentioned, and he's been our best winger so far this season.
yeah.
So we'll have a look at
Who was on the other wing most of the time? I sort of forgot to watch that because I was watching mostly centre square when the balls bounce. I forget to look who's on the wing. Obviously, you notice Stevens, but was it Tucker
it was
sometimes or
Tucker and
Flop?
Dersma mostly.
Dersman's right, yeah.
Yeah, from what I was
Well, that'd
watching.
be that'd be a good role if Dersma can get his fitness up over next couple of years. I think that'd be a good position. He'd be a great outlet kick option, wouldn't he? For when they do have to dump it. But he's a great mark.
He's good overhead and he's a good size as
Yeah. It's, it's unfortunately you probably touched on Bailey Scott before, but like in the preview probably he hasn't really improved a lot. It's all like, for 100 odd game player, whatever he's played, he's probably in some instances worse than he used to be. Like,
Yeah, you made a
not
good
runs
point.
hard and that, but his kicking is atrocious at times, to be honest. Yeah.
You made a good point in our group chat during the week that his best game was probably his first game.
Yeah, it's a two on debut, wasn't it? And 30 and two and in Freo or somewhere, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
and we got
Like,
absolutely
yeah,
belted.
and he was, like, don't like potting players, but like there's a few in that group of 100 150 games that have just let themselves down a lot. I think
Yep.
that's what's hurting us. Like even Clarko might have mentioned, it's that older group that sometimes it's them, isn't it?
It is.
They're not leading.
Mm. We'll have a look at the leaderboard for the Basti now with Big X still in the lead on 19 votes, Jizer in second on 16, LDU's charged up to third, tied third with Larky on 15, Parker on 14, and Sheasel on 13. So it's anyone's race for the Basti this year. This time last year, Sheasel was about 100 votes ahead. So
Yeah, it was just the three at the top by a long way, but wasn't it? Yeah, it's good to see some other players. Like it's good that, like a Darling who, probably 90% of North players didn't even want anywhere near the place, but he had a shocker last week, but that's going to happen until one of these younger guys comes up and says, "This is my spot, pal." But I don't know anyone there that's going to do that in a hurry.
yeah, let's get to
'Cause,
a positive segment. Lots of negatives today,
yep.
but let's get to a positive segment with episode 104 today. So your favourite number four to play for the North Footy Club, and it's players
Oh,
you've
this is
seen. It's not necessarily the best, just your favourite.
well, this is a pretty good number for North. You go back. Like obviously I wasn't around then, but I'm not going to pick him. But I would have loved to have seen Sam Kekovich play. And I've heard some stories from non-North players saying there's some things he did before I think he did his knee in his first or second year. Like he was crazy, kicked 60 something goals as some bullocking midfielder or something and forward. But I can't count him. But that's just a great player in that number. Then you've got Glenn Denning, who was probably pretty handy in our team at the moment. A rock down defence, but could swing forward, could run like basically like a midfielder. Uh, who else we got? Aiden Core. No, no. But for me, it's not going to be those two. And there's also the mighty Mick Martin as well. Is a bit of a favourite, but it's your personal favourite. So I'm actually going with Daniel Harris. Probably not everyone will like that, but it's a personal one. I just well to be Luke Darcy. I love the way he goes about it. Like he's hard at it, in and under midfielder, just at true shin boner. I mean, all those guys I mentioned but I just and the thing is with especially Glenn Denning, didn't really see enough of him play. Never saw him live. Only a handful of games on TV. Saw a fair bit of Mick play, obviously. So it was a tough call, but I've given it to Harrow. Just love him. Hopefully he's no pressure, but hopefully he's young fella is playing for us in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think he will be. He's doing
Yeah.
all the right things at the moment.
Sam, I think.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, that it's about your favourite. It's not necessarily the best player over the two,
Yeah.
but it hasn't been a whole lot of options for me. I was sort of Daniel Harris when I was growing up, but didn't really get to see him in his prime. Aiden Core wasn't even considered for Corey, but
I just to mention him.
for me, it's probably our best recruit in the last sort of 10, 15 years. I've gone with Sean Higgins as
Yes.
my favourite number four. He played 108 games for North, kicked 96 goals, two-time Sid Barker medalist, and was an All-Australian in 2018, which means he's had a bloody good season because it's hard to
Yeah,
get
he's a gun. Yeah.
in the shin
I,
boners and probably booted out a little bit prematurely by David
yeah.
Murray, playing him on a wing and sort of half forward when he was still our best midfielder. But they were trying to get games into Powell and Phillips and co. So
Yeah, it
um,
would have been nice if he'd done his last. Well, he got a 2 year at Geelong, but he didn't really play the second year, I don't think. But it would have been nice if I'd sort of had a hunch he'd pick him, so I didn't want to take the gloss over him. But I didn't know for sure. Thought it might have been LA
yeah,
because
I did like him.
LA's
And
first
he
20 games is pretty good, averaging about 25 posies.
just couldn't handball. That was his
No.
problem. But yeah,
There's a good squad to pick from there for my age bracket was obviously it could have been Glenn Denning as well with
yeah,
John Mossop.
and I think the
You
person
wouldn't know
who's
who John Mossop was, would you?
no.
He's like a ruckman we got from Geelong. He played a couple of seasons. He wasn't that good. He's past it.
I think the person most upset about us getting Higo was Goldie because then Higo took all the talk shows every fortnight and got
Oh yeah,
his big melon on on the telly.
yeah.
So we'll move on. Next segment is the watch list, which is the Chiefs' little baby. So we're not going to touch that, but I'll just remind the listeners who's on it. So only two names on there so far, but I think Chiefs going to swing the axe next time. So those playing at home, Bailey Scott's still on there, and we can't assess what he's done since because the VFL had a scratch match, which we'll touch on in a sec. But The other person on the watch list who is very much still on there is Clarko, and
Yeah.
another presser telling me how good the opposition is, and he's very much
I
on
think he was.
notice.
I think he was a touch better because he did have a bit of a dig at one of the the press said. Well, I already said what it was, and I told the players the same thing. And like he had a bit of a crack,
Yeah,
but yeah, it
well,
could be better. It was better than it was a couple of weeks ago or whatever. Anyway, I thought. Anyway,
yeah, like I said off the top, this next 3 weeks is huge, and then well, let's go 5 weeks because then the following, so we go Carlton, Port Adelaide, Essendon, Brisbane down at the Ninja, which will be tough, but then Richmond. So that's a 5 week block with all winnable games. Probably not Brisbane because they're flying, but we've got to be winning at least two of those for mine.
yeah, yeah. Or Brisbane just can flick the switch and just turn the whole game around like any good team or great team does. Yeah, they would look gone yesterday.
Yeah, oh, they're just an impressive
Old mate
outfit.
Hipwood just comes in and well, look at me, kick 5.5.
Yeah, oh, he's soft.
But
Fraud.
and it worries me next week because I think they hinted at who's their other ruckman, Pittonet or something, is it?
Yeah,
Coming in and they'll chuck old mate forward, and then who's going to control, De Koning, who's going to control him if he goes forward?
yeah, that's the
Well,
worry.
John won't. De Koning, I mean, Core just pull his arms down, and I don't know. There's a worry.
It is. It is. Just quickly touching on the VFL scratch match. George Wardlaw limped off yesterday and sent fear through all North fans, but it's been
Yeah,
confirmed
I did see that.
it's just a rolled ankle and he'll be
Just
all good
ankle,
to
yeah.
go. So he's straight in for mine Friday night. Good Friday. He's got to come in.
Oh, definitely. Well, hopefully, I suppose Archer's probably a bit 50-50, but the whole vibe of the team would change if both of those could come in. So
Mm,
when you look at the other end of the spectrum where they are, and the toughness, there's a few at the other end that everyone knows who they are, and it's probably hurting us a lot. It's just not, you got to like everyone has to go. You're going to get bruises in footy. It's just there's a couple that's still like probably shirking, probably
yeah.
more than a couple at
And that's
times. You just got
gonna
to go. And those two are the complete opposite. They don't care who's in the way. You're in the way, you're going to get barreled through. Like I just can't wait to see. Hopefully George plays. Like he's so good to watch play footy. Like I know his tank's not going to be there, but he's just gets the ball and gets it forward and just like you can see it lifts the boys around him.
yeah.
And
He'll
having
galvanise the group.
you have him playing and then Parker, for me, is a similar type of player. I've been a Parker fan like 200 games ago. I don't like other players much, but Parker's one an exception. When he came to the North, I thought, wow, this is like you couldn't really think of anyone you'd rather. Pity he wasn't like 23, but well worth the pick they gave away. And old JK is just a bit of a cherry on top of that, and he's been pretty good,
He has.
constanty.
He
Yeah.
has. So that sort of segues perfectly. We'll get into some of our listener questions, and I'll just say off the top, thank you to everyone who sent them in. We've got so many. A lot of them are similarly worded, so we'll just read out a couple. But thank you for everyone. We'll start with Clint Briley, who says, "Is it time for McKercher to have a spell in the twos and work on his defensive efforts and disposal?" If you're at match committee this week, are you giving Colby the tap on the shoulder and say, "Have a rest, son," or are you sticking with him under the lid at Marvel?
I'd probably give him another run. But you got to who's going to replace him? So it's easy to put people out. We've got to have someone who can come in and do that role better, unless they're going to change the. I know George is coming back, but they're different types of players. So I'd probably keep him in and give him another go. And we'll never know whether the heat thing was enough. But his
Mm.
defensive game needs work. But he's not. He's got some mates there, and that includes a couple of the forwards. I still think could chase better.
Yep. Oh, it's a big watch for mine, but I think he probably is lucky and he survives the fact that we're playing Carlton, who are a very slow football side, and he has that pace under the lid that can really break the game open. So I think if we were playing
Yeah.
at an outdoor stadium or something like that, then he probably makes way. But I think with the opposition we're playing and the style of game that we'll need to play to beat them and expose them, I think he keeps his spot. But he really has to be
Yeah.
better because he cost us a couple of goals late in that third quarter from efforts
Definitely. Yeah.
that were
Two or
not
three.
shin boner efforts. That's for
No.
sure.
And that's up to I don't know. I suppose he's the midfield group, not the forwards, isn't he? I suppose that's Patch. Well, Patch needs to eyeball him and say, mate, you can't. This isn't on. Yeah, your number two pick, that's fine. But when you're got to go, whether it's chasing or whatever, you got to go. You can't just be fast going downhill. You got to go fast the other way and do it like a chase down tackle like George does, or whoever LDU does. He's done a lot of good. Isn't just bumping the player and they drop the ball and you can run away with it, which is actually almost better than a tackle, which sometimes just a ball up. If you've noticed, LDU do that previous week. So yeah,
Yeah. Next one we've got from Jackson Hamill Beach, who says, "Hey fellas, would love your thoughts on these two issues. Number one, the club's lack of intensity in first quarters, resulting in Oppo getting out in an early lead, and two, our inability to keep playing our preferred game style once we get back into the game."
yeah. Do you want to go on me?
Yeah, I'll go. So the club's like, yeah, it's an issue. We're conceding too many goals too early, and teams are walking it out. And then his second point about um, not playing our preferred game style. Yeah, we get back into games and seem to just sort of go back into our shells a little bit. Like we get an 8 point lead, and all the good work and the free flowing play that gets us that lead, we sort of go back to sort of long down the line, chip chip. When we
Yeah,
just
definitely. Yeah,
we
yeah.
had to put the foot on the throat and keep
Put the
playing.
foot down. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I think the defense frustrates you when we do have it up there. And I think we've kept it in the forward line a little bit better with the Constanti, and sometimes that flicks out. That happens to every team though. But I think it's frustration you go down there and the forwards are either too far behind or too far in front, or just I've said play shoulder. Some players you got to play in front of, but you don't want to give them easy. We do the hard work. We've only kicked like one goal, three. You don't want to just give them bang bang and suddenly we're behind. And we've very frustrating. Yeah, we dominated the play and we're not haven't got the lead. Yeah.
Our defenders, particularly early, seem to give the forwards too much rope, and then you play
Yeah.
catch up from there on.
When it comes to our forwards, Larky or whoever, they've got players like all over them, legally or illegally, but they hardly ever get a nice cheapie early, do we? Very occasionally, but not. And then it goes the other way and they get one. Well, how does that happen? Surely we set up, behind the ball.
Yeah, especially when
Like,
it
well,
was
mate,
it,
what's going on?
it was it was living in our forward line. So you think that the defenders and the defensive mids that have pushed back, they've had ample time
Yeah,
to set up because it's stoppage and it's repeat inside 50. So then it makes you think, well, what's going on with the system and how they're being coached if
yeah,
as soon as Gold Coast win the ball back, it's bang, 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 goal. And it didn't
yeah.
happen once, it happened 4 or 5
A
times in
few
that
times.
first
That's
quarter.
that's where it'd be nice. I mean, obviously, all the footy shows can't talk about North, but it'd be love to see some behind the ground footage from the Oppo's end to see how these players are getting through quickly. Why is someone on their own by 30 metres? Because you don't know whether to blame the person that's closest, or has someone got sucked up the ground and just ball watching.
Yeah, don't
It's
worry,
hard. Yeah,
Damo will be into us.
yeah. Oh, yeah, but he's a muppet. No, but
Lordo, I just don't think
yeah,
Marco's doing it anymore. That's what he'll be carrying
yeah.
on about. But um,
Even old mate on who's the Herald Sun bloke that's on the
oh, Jay
Fox, Joe
Clark.
Clark. Yeah, he seems to just like talking about headlines and draft. Like, mate, talk about what the game, not just about someone's draft pick that we gave up for it. Like he's looking like a bit of a headline grabber. I think have to get Robbo back.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots and lots of comments on here about Tom Powell. From my standpoint, he didn't look too bad, but you had the vantage point of watching on TV. What were your thoughts on his game?
Yes, he got more than I thought he was had to be honest. But it's a tough one. I suppose if LDU's playing so well, obviously he's not getting it. But yeah, it was okay. But did he have 20 or something?
Yeah, he
21
had
or
20 in
something?
the end.
Yeah, it's just maybe another one of those ones that probably needs to work harder going back, half back line, running back, doing some chase down tackles. It's all a learning thing, but he's up to probably what, season five, maybe
Yeah,
now. But I mean, certainly there's no one pushing him out. There's a lot of chat on, bring Wilfield back with his clean, you can tag him, mate. He's not going to get within a kilometre of old mate yesterday. Forgotten his
no,
name now.
Rao or Anderson
Yeah, like
or
no one could. Like
Borland.
like I mean, we love Will Phil, but he's down the pecking order, and obviously someone like Parker's probably
Mm.
he's knocked him down another one. So
And George
I
back,
don't
he's
know.
coming down even
And
further.
George back there's another one, so I can't see him get in because he can't if he's not in centre square, he can't affect the game. And twice this year he's been subbed off because hasn't got the capacity to cover the territory, which is in today's games more important than ever.
Yeah,
They're all getting found out a bit with that. Yeah.
yeah, it's a great point you raised there, and I think it wasn't just him. There was lots of mids that were missing tackles yesterday, and
Yeah.
I want to go a quick grind my gears on the umpires with the advantage rule because the game
Oh
had
yeah.
stopped, and I didn't think from ruck contests, if it's a free kick, I didn't think you could take advantage. But I reckon
Think
Jared
only if
Weir,
it's instantaneous or something, but that
there's
was
no
not. They
way.
all stopped, even Rouse stopped and thought, oh, okay, advantage. I'll run and I'll take full advantage of that. I mean, you'd love if it was our
But
team
he
doing
ran
it,
it.
but
He
yeah,
ran about 30 meters.
yeah, that was poor. And there's a couple of growing my gears about the rucks. I know Sherry definitely gave away a couple, but you saw him just as the ruck was coming over. He just did that, and they always call that. It's Ticky Touchwood, but there's some there. I don't know what they call, and I can't be bothered rewinding it and pausing it to see whose fingernail touched someone. But last week, what was it? Oh, Tristan moved to the move a meter, and then he gave a free kick that never gets paid.
No.
That was ridiculous. And Witts is a good ruck though, and good on him. So they're both similar beast of a player, but some some of that ruck infringements were crazy. I thought just let them go. They're both bumping each other. As long as it's not a blatant pull,
Oh, I
pull
agree.
the jump or arm hold. Just let it go.
Steve Fenton, where was our banner? Yeah, I don't know what the hell was going on there. Gold
Did
Coast
the
had a big
Suns have
banner.
one?
We had
Did
none.
the Suns have one? Because I didn't see him run out, so
Yep, they did.
they did have one.
And
Yeah.
we just had the old fire and smoke on the way out. And
Oh well, it's not. It's not a big issue for me, but it's not. If everyone else has got one, I suppose. Like it's good when you're at the ground, I suppose, but on TV, I don't know.
hmm. um, Daniel Keeley, why can't we play 4 quarters of football? When we are on, we look good, but when we are not, we look terrible. Do you think everyone trusts each other? A few times players went in when they should have held back. I think that's
Yeah, I
just
think
judgment stuff
think
that
they've
we've.
answered their own question.
Yeah,
Yeah, they go in when they shouldn't. They both sit out or too many. Yeah, that happens a lot. And I think there's definitely the heads drop with it gets away from you. You can the bit of confidence goes out of all of them. I think the
yeah,
heads drop, and that'd be something new for Parker and maybe not Darling because there would have definitely heads drops at West Coast last year. But for Darling, for Parker, he'd be thinking, "What's going on here? This doesn't happen where I'm from." Because it's some, that collectively we're still in this because of Sydney have been in the game every game for nearly 20 years, more or less, other than the
yeah,
grand final.
yeah, exactly. Except the last Saturday in September.
Yeah.
Literally, Grantos, considering the fourth quarter fall away, I still think we can beat Carlton next week. Thoughts? We bloody have to.
Oh,
It's
we can. But yeah, definitely. You go.
it's our most important Good Friday game ever, I think. Like they're not
Yeah.
flying. They had a little 70-point win. They've got Mackay's going to miss with concussion. Brody Kemp's going to miss with Achilles. And if they choose to put TDK forward, then Sherry, even though he's hampered with a bit of a hammy, he'll flog Pitnet in the ruck. So
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I
uh,
was just worried about the other side of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
they can't move the ball fast. That they're not in any sort of form. So I think it's a really important day for the club. I think it's probably
Yeah, it is.
biggest moment in the last 5 years. Like we've got to turn up, and I don't want to hear Clarko saying we've got to go deeper in the game. Clarko, we've just got to win it. We have to beat Carlton on Friday.
Yeah. I think that the trouble is over the years, I don't know how the players like they obviously get told to pump it up and always say big lights Friday night or it's Friday afternoon or whatever. And they get so almost it's not a final, but they get wound up a lot. I think what are we 8-1 on Good Friday?
Yeah.
The win-loss record. So they just need to say, look, it's Carlton, let's just go and flog them. Like
Mm.
I know obviously look after the kids and all that, but I'm not saying ignore that, but just when it's the footy, just then get into it. I think that I don't know, it gets in their heads a bit sometimes, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's usually the only game they
Obviously, they have
change
to
to
pump
and
it up for
lose.
the right reason. I'm not knocking that, but let's pump up and win. Hopefully someone like George and Jacko can help sort that out because he's going to hit the contest hard from the first
Oh,
bounce if he's in there. Well, I hope he is.
yeah. We need
Yeah,
both
but
of them.
they can definitely beat Carlton, but they're the classic downhill skiers. If they get a hit, get, Walsh got off the chain yesterday at about 40, didn't he? So like, I think he's been pretty good against us, but just have to hope LDU and lads can get it done.
Yeah, they
I
were
think
very
it
one pace.
always comes back to the midfield, doesn't it, in the end?
Yeah, they're incredibly one pace. Like,
Yeah.
doing a mini preview here, but Cripps, Walsh, and Hewitt, like, there's no pace there. So, we've
No,
definitely
they
more
don't want to. They
explosive,
don't want to run the other way at all, do they? Most
bit
of
like,
them.
bit like Mama's boy.
Well, I'm glad McKay's not playing because I'm sure he would have found some form and some soft free kicks against us. I'll look after the marquee player, the big club, and that. So
That's all right. Charlie will get
anyway.
his fair share, but
Oh, Charlie, yeah,
Bryce Kelly, Gold Coast spread and run is impressive. Too many easy leaked goals, poor defensively. Could not agree more. Could not agree.
yeah, spot on. And a lot of those, I think they showed a couple on game day yesterday. The stoppages, people just letting run waltz through from one side to the other and having a snap, and if walking past players or they're not getting checked, like you got to get goal side a bit more if you can. Like, I know it's impossible if they're fast and they run through, yeah, and they're a good player, good on you. But when there's no contact on them or jostling on the way through, that's got to be looked at by the stoppage slash defensive midfield coach or whatever. Very poor, yeah.
Mm.
When it's in our forward line, we hardly ever get an easy one like that from memory.
Yeah. Andrew Scalise here. When do we start raising questions about Clarko? Players deserve the criticism, but the times where games have been in the balance, he's been outcoached this year. Not pushing for him to be removed, but if we don't win one of our next three, then the narrative will change. Oh, that's pretty much what I've been saying.
Yeah, I see some of that, but I say just to be different. I think is it his coaching or is it the players
Mm.
not implementing what the coaches have put in? And that's I feel like, and that's all of the line coaches, not just Clarko. There's structure there, and they're not following it. They're not running hard back. Are they really?
No.
That's part of it. If you can't get back in numbers, you can't help. And there's some of it might be Clarko, but I don't think it's just he got out coached in the day because all the coaches will tell you the coaches has done that's all done during the week.
Mm.
You're almost just spectating. Like you can go and swing the magnets around, but rarely does that change much, does it? I
Yeah.
don't think.
I just think defensively, the setup's
The
been,
players need the good teams. The players do that where they're out there.
yeah. We
Like
can,
if there's something wrong with the forwards, hopefully Darling and Larky can say, well, let's separate more or whatever. That sounds simple, but you know what I mean. It's up to them to read the game. I mean, Clarko can't run out and give them a message, really.
no.
What's the message? The runners aren't out there much. It's on the players more as well, I think.
Yeah, I suppose the big question is about the system
I mean,
because
if he
we're
went,
competing.
who's going to coach him?
Yeah, well, I'm not saying sack him. I don't think
Yeah, no,
anyone
I
should
mean, but
sack him.
people do. They just jump at. I know he comes out. He probably needs to stop rolling out all the Brisbane Lions, blah blah. 4 years, six. They're in the eight, but the different playing list as well. And then I don't know. He probably needs to stop rinse and repeating the same garbage he does sometimes in the presser. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, I'd be
But
loved
I don't know
to
what
fly on the
they can
wall.
say. Obviously the interviewers try and bait him to get them punched in the wall or something. He looked
Mm.
a bit filthy yesterday, I thought so, which is good that he looked filthy.
Yeah, he's not going to come out and say we were shit house, is he? Like,
No,
um,
no,
I'd love to see what
because
he's done.
obviously they've got a mind coach over the summer, so there's probably some fragile footballers in the club, and no doubt the other teams know that. They're probably easy to bully down, and they're not going to fight back, but hopefully we can a bit more.
Mm. Yeah, and the rest of the questions are all very similar around, player performance and defensive structure, which we've sort of touched on, and we just can't keep conceding 120 plus points.
No,
We're too easy to score
yeah,
again. Way too easy.
was it the goals this year 17-9 when we won 17 18 21. That's way too many obviously, but we're not alone. There's some big scores this year the way footy's going. If a team can get on top for 5 minutes, they kick 5 goals, and
Mm.
it can go from 10 to 40. You think, geez, how did that happen? And we did that to Melbourne. Oh yeah, they're obviously crap, but we still did it to them.
Yeah.
So I think some areas we've picked up from last year, because I felt most games last year I thought we're over by quarter time,
Yeah.
even if not on the scoreboard. They were just thought we gone. And when this one was till 5 minutes to go, and that's not good enough. We should win, but that's the sort of straws I grasp at when I'm
Yeah.
trying to get myself up to watch the next game. But geez, when it finishes, you think, oh, I have to go through this again, and this is about sixth year in a row. Like it's sort of, you don't want to be a downer, but it's like we're playing worse than the franchise teams when they came in.
Yeah.
How's that even possible? And they had it justified because they had 25 18 to 20-year olds on their list or more, skinny players.
It's getting frustrating. Supporter base is losing patience, and you and I and are always going to support no matter what. But I can understand
Yeah,
why people are getting frustrated, and it's so hard to watch. And um, just yeah, we want to see improvement, and we thought we'd be there by now.
and that's probably there's a lot of criticism last week of Matt Whitlock because it was four tools, and it probably maybe justified, but I feel like he can play medium. He's a very agile player. Like he had a couple of bad moments, but geez, in our back line, I reckon some good players would be, the way it's coming in sometimes, but they're probably giving him a go because they can probably see eventually he's going to be better than those three players
Mm,
was playing with. Like if
yeah.
I'd hope to think he'll be a better player than Core, Logue, and Comben.
Mm.
Even though Comben's still young by games, I think he's 25 or something. Like, and he's very one-dimensional on the contested mark beast, and he's hard at it. But his defensive and game awareness sometimes is pretty poor, and his disposals hit and miss. So that's why I thought they might play him in forward line this week, but they
Yeah,
didn't the
actually
last time. But it
segues
was all over. Yeah.
to my last question. I want to ask you, just more sort of about structure. Like coming into this week under the lead at Marvel, would you like to see Comben go forward or potentially bring in Finbar? What are your thoughts around the forward line
I think
setup?
they could with Tom, especially if um, Buckets, or he's the other one's Buckets, but if he's not playing, well, he's definitely not playing, got concussion. I don't know who their other tall forwards are. They'll probably bring in some Pino that'll kick five on debut or something, but that's
Sam Kerridge this
typical,
week.
typical North, yeah, Sam Kerridge Ward. But I wouldn't be against it because Darling's smart enough to, not get in each other's way. Common's probably not, but we probably don't need. I mean, it probably wouldn't hurt to have someone that can come up and just come from five deep and just smash the pack to pieces.
Mm.
That creates chaos. And we've got PC, Parker, etc. there. Simpkin when he's up there can,
Constanti, my man.
because Larky's not. Yeah, Larky's not really a pack breaker, and it's just the way he plays. And Darling, well, he sort of he just wears the pack on him, and sometimes he can't move, but he doesn't really come over the top and break it very often.
No, exactly. He's
He,
only
he
the one
halves
man
all
we
his
want.
one, definitely halves all his one-on-one. So all the players were right when they kept crapping on about it all pre-season. I thought, oh yeah, he definitely does do that. He doesn't get outdone very often.
Mm.
But Finbar, he's a bit like he's got that massive one wood of probably the best contested mark on the list, probably even better than Chong, really. But what's the rest of his game smarts like?
Yeah,
I'd love to see him play sometime, but is the rest of him like he won't get that run and jump as easy against AFL defenders
no.
as he does on VFL, and then he does tend to go up there and sometimes not touch the ball,
Yeah,
which is part of his game. But his kicking's improved. So look, I've got a handful of these players that are mid-20s, like Pink and Teakle and Finbar. Like time's ticking in away because they're probably all on their last year or so. So when do they get to go? Were they just holding the spotters back up until Shotgun and Whitlock are ready to roll?
mm.
Maybe then probably and then I'll Taylor Goat obviously if he can come on. So there's a lot of people want Toby Pink back in, but yeah, he was probably unlucky. But is he significantly better than any of those other three? Probably not. I don't think. No, and
And
he's
is he
in the
long
same
term
age
option?
bracket. Like he's the same, and Logue's definitely better. He's a bit off. He's a bit lacking a bit of conditioning probably, but he's clearly a better player than Toby Pink.
Mm. My big concern with Finbar is like I want to see him get a go at some point, but sorry, not more a big question than a big concern. But what does he do when the ball hits the ground? Because we've been
Yeah, he's,
harsh on the forwards for them walking it out, so he needs to be able to. Well, John will chase and apply pressure.
yeah.
It's
Oh, definitely.
what Finbar does
John,
when
when
the
he
ball
was
hits the
forward
ground.
last year, was 2 or 3 games. His forward pressure was elite. That's probably crucified him a bit before, but he's obviously his tackling and pressure is elite when it's on the ground.
Mm.
Because you can obviously go a bit crazy in the forward line and chase anyone that's close to you. In defence, you've got to be, obviously, where's my man? But up there, he doesn't have to worry about it. It's just where's the ball I want it and chase players. But yeah, Finbar, well, he can't ruck either, really, I don't think. He's not going to give much of a chop out compared to Teakle, but you hear a lot of people calling for the three talls, but Teakle, when it hits, if he doesn't mark it, what's he going to do?
Mm.
I mean, he would give X a good chop out, but what about the rest of the game?
Yeah,
He
when it
did
hits the ground.
70 minutes in the forward line.
Mm.
I mean, maybe you can clunk a few. I'm not against it, but I'd rather chom. I think if we
Yeah,
can afford to only have the two down back.
yeah, and he hasn't been lighting it up, Chom, either.
No,
I mean, he did some nice things
he can
yesterday.
play forward. He can play forward. I mean, people say he's kicking, but he hasn't had enough of a set shots a bit. He didn't kick three straight last year, including a massive one from the boundary, like
Yep,
Jeremy Cameron style.
yep.
So he's got it in there. And it's more about the chaos he caused with contesting the ball.
Mm.
And I feel like
Oh,
he sort of play if he's up there, he's like gets up and about, like he'd lift the team because he's just like the pressure of, I don't have to worry about my man as much. He's still got to chase, obviously, but just go for the ball. Got Archer doing the same in the back and George the Mill and Chom up the front. All the big Chiefs, big CC boys.
yeah, exactly right. He'll be happy to hear that. Right, we might leave it there. Unfortunately, a pretty negative pod today after a good fight back that we saw for 2.5 quarters, but ultimately ran out of gas and just too easy to transition for the Suns yesterday. But we roll on off a 6-day break to take on the Blues for Good Friday, where we're both hoping for a win. And I'm going to tip us this week.
Yeah, I think I will. I didn't yesterday.
No,
Did
neither did I.
you?
No,
Nah, I've been burnt too much the last few years.
yeah, I'm with you. Well,
I've
thank you very much, Frog, for coming
got a
back
good one
on.
here for got a last one here for you. We were
Yep.
talking about Bailey Scott before. He was on a 57 game streak.
Oh, wow. There you
50,
go.
57 consecutive. He hadn't missed since 2022. So he was the clubhouse leader.
So that was a bit of that was the statement dropping that we needed from Clarko.
Yeah, well, here's a quick question if you've got a minute. Who's the clubhouse leader now for consecutive games for North?
Is it Larky?
Yes,
Yes.
goal. Larky, then PC and Core.
Oh boy.
Larky's on 55, PC and Aiden Core on 39.
Oh, very good. All right. Well, thank you so much,
Yep,
Rob, for jumping back on again, and
no
hopefully
problems.
when Big Chief flies away to New Zealand and you're on for about 3 or 4 weeks in a row, we can do a winning review pod for you and get break the duck.
Where was he today?
He can't do Zoom. He's no good. He's no good
Oh,
technologically.
oh, well, I'm using Mrs. Frog's work setup, so I managed to get my name on there
Oh yeah, you've
in the
done well.
corner. No, happy to be on. Probably dragged it out a bit, haven't I? But anyway,
No, that's good. All right. Well, we'll sign off now. Thanks again for all your support, listeners, and please subscribe whatever listening platform you're on. Until next time, go Roos!
go Roos.